Let me welcome the CEO and founder of Socin Technologies, Mr. Mark with a C Ward. Welcome.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for
before,
having me.
You're welcome. Before we start, Drew, do you know this man? Because every tech guest I invite on, Drew is either investing in them, that knows them, help them fund, bring their I just want to make sure. Last tech guest we had, you like, what's up? And I'm like,
no, but I'm looking forward to getting to know Mark and hear more about what his company is doing.
Okay, so Mark, I brought you in for selfish reasons. All right, so I have this vision. I'm going to create this community. We're going to rebuild some things and, self-sufficient. We're going to have well water and off the grid, all kind of solar and wind. We're not trying to, this is my vision, but we need to protect ourselves because I read Earthseed and that was they had gates, but the gates didn't stop the hillbilly horde from coming in and wreaking havoc. So I'm going to need, I feel, some drones that do two things. First, check the perimeter for crazies, but also if you see crazies, take care of the crazies without me having to touch anything. So let me ask you, is that something that you can develop?
Well, I can develop it, especially taking care of the crazies. I love that's the quote. That's the tagline right there for the company. We take care of the crazies. So that's going to be the tagline. That is $1 billion company right there.
Especially in this current environment.
All right, I want a piece of that. So since I actually gave you the tagline, I want a piece of this $1 billion company. But I feel like I'm reading, and it's messing with me because blood in my eye. When I think about George Jackson going to jail at 18 for like a petty crime, ended up basically being sentenced to 1 to life, right? Ends up his brother's trying to break him out. He gets killed. Then he ends up getting, they said that he killed a police officer and he's also murdered in jail. But the manifesto, the book that he wrote is so well done, but they're dealing, and this is like 40 years ago, dealing with some of these issues. And I think about self-defense because he talks about, revolution without strategy. You can't just be a warrior. You got to have a plan. And I feel like Black Wall Street, Firebomb, Roseland, decimated. Summer 1919, Red Summer, they call it, because so much black blood poured in these quote unquote race riots. All the draft riots that decimated communities. We have to start to think about, and everybody should be thinking about, like, how do I protect the things that I'm building so that somebody just can't come in and jealous, mad, angry, whatever, racist, and then destroy it in the matter of 2 days.
And not only just destroy it, but not be held accountable for destroying it. It's like, well, yeah, we know exactly who did it. Well, can you prove it? Well, yeah, he's standing right there. Well, we don't see anything. So then you're left in that catch-22, right? All the disastrous things that you brought about. If we think about Brother George Floyd, right? Would we have really gotten justice if that wasn't on video? One of the taglines in my company isn't seeing is believing. It's believing is seeing. We have to see these things. So for me personally, when I got done with every time something tragic happens, what do we always get from everyone else? Well, we get their thoughts and prayers, right? We get their thoughts and prayers. Oh, your kid was killed. You have our thoughts and prayers. And I just got sick of that. And I knew that technology is going to be the differentiator, right? We can keep marching. We can keep singing songs. But unless we have an actionable piece of technology, a drone, a UAV, an unmanned aerial vehicle that can see things, right? That is autonomous from the police. That is absolutely autonomous. It's attached to your 911 system and it arrives on the scene and records everything using, really, really sophisticated cameras and AI algorithm. We're able now, my company is able now to tell a police officer, Brother Andrew right there, Brother Drew, is holding a cell phone. It's not a gun. That's a cell phone.
Because you get an aerial view.
Because we have a full aerial view, right? And it's high def. It's real-time topography. Because the other thing that we get law enforcement saying, right, Sister Karen? Because I could go off into another biblical thing, but we get police officers always saying, I didn't know what he had, right? I was scared for my life. We call that the fog of fear. Well, if you have an AI in your ear saying, hey, the young man does not have a gun, that's a cell phone. Put your weapon away. Now that's artificial intelligence that can save lives. And that's what we need to do. And on both sides of it, you know, originally I made this because of Brother George Floyd. I'm old enough to remember, you know, Emmett Till. I'm that old. Like, I remember that. And to come all the way through George Floyd, I got tired. And I'm like, you know, it's not going to stop. The things that you mentioned, Tulsa, all these places, when is it going to stop? So I decided, well, between my love of food and technology, I can figure this out. Food wasn't gonna win, but technology came on.
I'm like, what the food got to do with it, Mark? All right.
I'm snacking.
Okay. Mark Ward is
I'm a
here.
snacker too, I get it.
Yeah, me too. Listen, look. And you don't look old enough to remember Emmett Till. So I'm just gonna say black definitely does not crack. Socian. All right. So Socian, am I saying this correctly?
You are. It means it's a Latin word that means a small group of people doing good for a large amount of people. And that's what we're doing.
I love that. So tell me your background. How did you get in? Because you know, Eljoy Williams is playing around with drones right now, but you know, taking pictures of fireworks. But you know, just learn. Should everybody just, you know, do like, where do we start with the drone 101? Before we get to that, tell me about your background.
Well, my background is kind of simple. I was one of them kids who got toys, tore them up, put them back together because my mama said she wasn't gonna buy no more. I was one of those. When you took it apart, you better figure it out. Okay. Well, that kind of taught me engineering, right? So then when I became a teenager, I started working with cars because I wasn't going to afford a new car. So you better put that one back together if you want to drive. So that's what I started doing. I went off to college. And unfortunately, I grew up in a time where I didn't know what an engineer was. You know, if you didn't play basketball or had some music ability, you're just a nerd. So I get to college and I study political science at Roosevelt University. I leave there and now I'm into, you know, computers and tech. And I'm like, man, I'm going to go to MIT and study physics. Well, I got in, but couldn't afford to stay. See, that's the problem. You can get in, but you can't afford to stay there. So I ended up going home and feeling dejected. And I said, you know what? There's so many resources. So I taught myself how to code, how to write code, how to engineer the AI through free classes from Stanford, Caltech, MIT. And I just kept taking them and I reinforced my skills in the private sector. And I got into aeronautics, which a friend of mine, he was playing with drones all the time. So I took one of his drones apart and put it back together. And I'm like, you know, this has some usage that nobody's thinking about. So that's how I got started in it.
Now, fast forward for us, you know, just regular folk, because Eljoy actually inspired me. Like, I'm gonna get a drone just to, you know, fly around and take pictures. I know a lot of real estate people use it, you know, to you know, show aerial views of homes and things, even inside. Where should we start?
Start with a local hobby shop. Pick up a nice, inexpensive drone. You're gonna crash that first one. You're gonna crash it.
Like, break it?
You
crash
gonna
it, break it?
Oh yeah. Let's go ahead and get the first little cheap one, get it out your system. Then you learn really how to pilot it. And once again, you learn that there's so many uses for it, right? Gas companies, utility companies are using it to look at pipelines, electrical wires, where it's a little bit too dangerous to send a human. So we're seeing a lot of that happen right now. I'm just pushing the envelope of what it could be good for. But the average person, yeah, start at a local hobby shop, grab you a drone. They're not that expensive.
Karen, I was what's funny is when Marky said that people are using drones for all kinds of like innovative things and doing different things, the team that did the appraisal on my house, my home inspector and the appraiser both had drones flying over the house to inspect the roof of the house, to look at the easements and all of that, and took aerial shots, aerial pictures, so that they could make a better assessment on the inspection of the house. I mean, high quality photos. It was a trip. It was a trip.
Yes, and it sounds like they were just using the photography aspect of it.
Yeah.
If you put in the AI component, I can write you software that can tell you exactly how big your house is.
Yeah.
I can tell you exactly what part of that roof needs to be replaced and why. You can get AI and combine that with UAVs. There's nothing we can't accomplish.
Wow. I feel like we're not up on this drone thing the way we should be. Because I feel like when we get into the drone thing, it's going to be a whole other type of ball game. Talk to me about, I mean, you already just now, I'm like, all right. So go to a hobby shop. Can I get something on? I don't want to get anything on Amazon, but can I get a cheap one to crash?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And what's inexpensive to you? Because your inexpensive may be different than my inexpensive.
Yeah, on this, my inexpensive is going to be a little different. Yeah, on this one, you can grab you one for about $100.
Oh, okay. That's good. Okay. All right. And what will $100 drone give me besides, the dexterity to navigate?
Which is what you want. You want to be able to get a brand new view of what it is that you're looking at, right? And that's the whole key to everything is from saving a life at a critical police encounter to Drew having his home reappraised, aerial views. And once you feel like, okay, now I could see it from that different angle, now you get more information, which is what I'm always preaching to us as a people. More information is not a bad thing. Disinformation is a bad thing. More information is not a bad thing.
And there's safety and surveillance when it comes to police.
Yes.
Like there feels like there's safety and surveillance when it comes to Black folks and police interaction.
Yes.
And if you and people act differently when they know they're being watched.
Come on, brother Drew.
Unless it's Derek Chauvin. He knew he was being watched and he stopped him from getting his knee off the neck of George Floyd.
I am so glad you said that.
Done had he not.
Now that's true too.
Listen,
I almost feel like the people yelling at him to get off George Floyd's neck made him double down. I feel like he was like, "You're not going to tell me what to do in words. Watch this." Like I'm going to stay here longer. I don't know, but go ahead, Mark.
I think both of you are absolutely correct. Both of you are absolutely correct. Here's my take on that. Derek Chauvin wasn't a police officer. He was a murderer. That's not a political statement. He killed somebody. Okay, you're a murderer. He was going to murder that man. Okay, he didn't care who was looking. So you're right, Miss Karen. He didn't care who was looking. He didn't care who was there. Matter of fact, it doubled him down. That's a sign of a sociopath. When you decide, people looking at me and I'm gonna, because we don't do that. If you planned on doing something bad and you saw somebody looking, you walk away. When you was a little kid, you was gonna get that cookie, and your mama you heard that bedroom door open, you left that cookie alone. I'll come back later. I'm clearly the fat one here because I got a lot of food. Got a whole lot. I just realized that. Right, I just realized that I got a lot of food references. But Brother Drew is also correct. If the police knew that we are going to be held accountable 100% of the time, there is video evidence. There is a log from an AI system saying, we told you he didn't have a gun. Yeah, right. Why did you shoot him? We told you he didn't have a gun. Now there's no more excuses. And in the light of George Floyd, there are a lot of police officers who quit. They said, if I got to be held accountable, I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
that should tell you the mindset of what we're fighting in this country. This isn't, it doesn't just seem like the bad guys just winning lately. Like they on a streak. Like they just winning.
It does feel like that.
It does. And I don't know what, like I said, I'm not gonna get biblical and start talking about spirits, but I'm not gonna go there. But it just feels like something is moving. And we don't have time to sit back and be grateful for thoughts and prayers. We have to do something, and I think technology is the answer.
866-801-8255. Mark with the C. Ward is here. Socin08 is where you follow him on the Twitters, or socin.io. Okay, so who hires you? Like, how do I use your service?
Well, our original rollouts are going to be to cities and municipalities and also universities. As you're probably aware, there's a lot of violence on campus nowadays. Kids shouldn't have to be afraid to go to school. So by giving campus security another eyeball in the sky, we can keep kids safe. My other thing is with the cities and municipalities, how we can best use the service is that when we talk about defund the police, the other side always wants to make it sound like, oh, they just want to get rid of all the police officers. That's not it at all. We want to demilitarize the police. There's no reason that you should come into our communities wearing, shields and masks and tanks coming down the street. There's no need for that. When we can send a beautifully designed drone into an area, we can simply tell you, okay, there is a threat here. Now that's not a cell phone. That is a gun. Okay, but it's one person, and here he is. That's how the cities, governments, and universities will be able to use it. I do plan on rolling out a version for private citizens that you can use at your home. You pull up, something don't look right, go to your app, launch that drone. It's autonomous. It knows what it's looking for. So through our AI modeling, I've taught the AI to be aware of its surroundings. So let's say, Ms. Karen, the drone, before you left for work, the drone flies around your house. It knows what garbage cans are. It knows this, it knows that. Okay, drone memorizes it, goes back to its nest. You come home, you don't feel right. The drone is able to leave, and the AI is able to look again and go, your garbage can been moved. And nobody's been here. Let me take another sweep. Right. Your front door.
Wait, can my drone talk to me just like that, Mark?
Yes.
Girl, yes. Don't do that.
Yes.
That's garbage.
Yes. And
I want my drone to talk to me exactly like that. I want it to be very like Whoopi Goldberg and Ghost.
I'm trying to tell you.
You're in danger, girl. Or like, they done moved your trash can.
You better run, Karen. You better
make another sweep, but your trash can has been moved and ain't nobody at the house.
Ain't nobody here.
That level of drone AI that like, give me the culture when you do it.
That's right. I'm going to build one with an old black woman voice. You better get on up out of here. These ain't nothing but demons. Right. You better get up out of here. The devil is afoot.
Oh my gosh. Come on, Mark. You got to do that. With an S on the end of got. You have to. You got to make that. I promise you, you're going to be selling out. This is what we need. Okay. All right. Now, the technology. I know that there's all that, soap dispensers that can't see black people's hands, the thing that gives you the towels in the bathroom. You gotta wave 50 times for it to see you, but white person come by and it's like the paper comes out. You're like, hey, wait a minute, because those machines have been built by people who weren't culturally sound. How is yours different, Mark Ward? How does the blackness show up? I know, but how does it show up in the AI?
So that is a beautiful question. One of the most intelligent questions I've ever been asked. That is because there is an implicit design bias. Yeah. Now, I'm not saying that all AI engineers are racist and they did it on purpose, but you don't have the experience. You don't have my personal experience to be able to say, well, that person's melanated. So, but they're here and they exist. And this is why the skin looks like that. And no one wants to take the time And that's what it really boils down to. I mean, to be completely honest with both of you, nobody wants to take the time to do that.
Inclusion requires extra effort.
Come, Brother Drew, me and you gonna have to go do something because I'm
well, there's a house in Columbia. No, I'm just
It's now open for a whole 4-day weekend now that I've canceled. But man, I mean, can you just talk a little bit about that piece of it, that what happens when you don't think about inclusion at inception? I mean, you're a tech person. Like, that's how we get left out of so much. Can you talk just a little bit about how that shows up when we do have it and when we don't have it?
Inclusion needs to be just a normal part of your company's creation, right? We think of inclusion at the end. You know, we better get some Black folks around here and some Puerto Ricans. And that needs to be a part of the culture from day one. Yeah. And that is how we get left out. That is why we're always left behind and an afterthought. You know, there's a medical AI, and I can't remember the name of it, that can't detect melanomas in Black people.
Yeah.
Because it looks at our skin different. If you start day one with the idea, these people are equal, and we're going to design it like that, nobody's left out.
Yeah.
No one's left out. I would be foolish with the natural language processing that I'm using for the AI so the AI can communicate with law enforcement. I would be foolish not to teach the AI model not to speak Spanish. Yeah. That's foolishness. But look at how many companies now are like, oh, the AI should know different languages. Well, yeah, it should.
Especially with Latin folks racing towards almost 25% of the population based on the last census, right? And I'm positive that Black folks and Latin folks got undercounted. So that number,